This is In the Middle with Josh and Sarah Siders. We get it. You're probably going through something that's asking you to dig deep, think differently, and hold on against the odds.
So these are our thoughts about starting new things, shutting some things down, and being with you, right there in the middle.
Welcome back to the In the Middle podcast, the podcast for those of us who haven't arrived yet. I'm Sarah.
Josh, welcome.
Yay, we're back. We're back, and this is our 20th episode.
Yeah, that's big time.
So congratulations to us.
Congrats.
Ding. So 20 episodes. We like to celebrate every little mile marker that we get to. Of course, we will, acknowledge 25.
That's right.
Like, don't think we're going to hold back on celebrating every opportunity we can.
We're creeping up on 6 months.
Creeping up.
Yeah, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So if you do the math, you're like, that's not weekly, but it's close. Okay.
It's close. We took some time off.
There was the holidays.
We traveled.
We were sick.
Yeah.
But we were just talking about this. We're like, this has been one of the things that we have been consistent with. So so speaking of consistent, that reminds me of our sponsor.
Oh yeah. Who is our sponsor?
Our sponsor is something you're not consistent with. Unfinished journals. The journal that you got at the beginning of the year because you were going to maybe do the bullet model, or you were going to keep your values in front of you. Yeah. And, you just put it in the drawer and you forgot about it. So get it out.
It happens.
The unfinished journal is not, it's not like you don't have to throw it away.
That's right. We're
get it back out.
We're down a quarter.
Yeah.
Q1. Check.
We did our Q2 planning.
Yeah, so get that out for Q2 and dust it off and
That's right.
get a new pen.
Resurrect
You need something new to
freshy
incentivize.
fresh.
I like to do that. Do you like to do that? You just get something new because you know you're going to use it maybe, or it's like get a new fountain pen or a new G2 Pilot,
Okay, this guy.
So
I have like a box of 12 like 0.5 or 0.3 Sharpie blacks because I like the fine.
Yeah, that's nice.
So I don't do that necessarily, but I do love a fresh journal. And you guys, I'm going to be honest, most of my journals have been finished because it takes me about 6 months. Yeah. And I have a pretty good rhythm, but I do have some that are unfinished.
Right. So
and plenty of other things that are unfinished.
So this is your quarter.
That's right,
grab
baby.
That Carpe journal.
Carpe journal. Yeah, yours and ours. Let's get it back out. Let's reflect. And use that for growth. I'm a huge fan of that. So.
Yeah, I did start a new method. I did grab an old journal and I started a new method.
The
bullet method.
Yes.
It has been fantastic.
The bullet method.
Maybe that's a little preview for what's saving my butt, but it literally, it is fantastic. It is a brain dump. It is like fresh space every day to like check stuff off.
Oh,
it is checking
Such
all
a
my
good
boxes.
discipline.
So anyway, if you haven't done that, check that out. I would love to help you out with that. Show you how I'm doing that. But it's really, really good.
That might be like we always say, like its own session, but it's kind of like what are ways that we process,
That's right.
And I think that one definitely is good for you because you're more structured. And I have clients that use it as well and have found it to be very useful. So all
very
brain
useful,
types,
very adaptable. Types. Yeah, it's very nice.
Absolutely. So it's that. I feel like as I was getting ready for the episode today, I was thinking about how we've talked about like warm spring weather and like it's changing into spring, and I've been doing these events called the Spring Clean Soul Edition. Yeah. And so it's like kind of emerging from the winter and allowing that seasonal transition to give you time for reflection. Right. And so we have our next one coming up here. And it's like if that Monty Python scene, like cut between where it's like winter skipped right over spring and went straight on to summer, and then like it just skipped a season because it's like 80 outside right now.
It's hot, and not going to complain too much. I do, it feels like just a couple of weeks ago, it was like, well, better keep our cabinet doors open because of the freeze at night. Oh my gosh, yes. But it shot up this week, and it's nice. Yep. And so I'm really, I'm glad, but it's kind of like, oh, okay, I need to adapt my wardrobe here, and I haven't yet.
Would you know that he adapted his wardrobe?
I added a hat. Although I think I've done that before too.
The hat.
But anyway, pretty standard.
For those who are listening, you can hear the sarcasm. I'm hearing like a light short sleeve shirt, but
good.
it's black. So I'm trying to.
There you go.
It's a bridge outfit. Okay.
Yeah.
We got the bridge.
It works.
The bridge wardrobe. But anyway, we're just two old folks sitting around talking about the weather and drinking coffee in the afternoon, aren't we?
That's one of my favorite things. Not
So-
really, not really.
so-
One of them is, but you know.
So dorky.
Yeah.
Well, we have a framework we want to share with you. And, if you're listening or you're a regular listener to In the Middle, you know that we talk about, different ways and lenses to understand midlife. And sometimes we're talking about, a specific topic,
Yeah.
something that happens. But we have found, Josh and I have found that it seems so helpful to have like kind of a lens or a layer to look at this whole journey through. So it's kind of a zoom out conversation today,
bit,
right?
yeah.
So instead of just talking about maybe internal or external motivations or something like that, we're talking about this whole framework that you have learned and I just got into from.
So this is we're going to talk about the trip you never wanted to take. Is that right? That's what you called it?
I'd like to think that's
like
a solid title. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So the trip you never wanted to take.
Yeah, guys, that's what we're gonna call it today.
Yeah.
So I think.
So it is. It's an understanding. It's a framework. It's an approach.
Yeah.
To understanding this midlife journey from inspired from James Hollis, his book "Making Meaning of the Second Half of Life." Is that what it's called?
Making meaning in the second
In
half
the
of
second
life.
half,
Yeah, something like that. I'm like one chapter
I
in.
don't know
So
the preposition there, but there's one
Yes,
in there.
there
But
is a
it's really good.
preposition.
So it's the idea like midlife happens to all of us. If you live long enough, your mid 30s and up are happening, and so
it's like
yeah. And so
That sound.
I think a lot of the purpose of this podcast is to talk about what never felt like was talked about with me.
Yeah,
and so
right.
some of it was really abrupt.
yeah.
But it's a journey that we all adventure on, and so basically, just want to do an overview. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Or do you want to break each one
I was
down?
thinking that let's just kind of go through the four.
Yeah.
And then, kind of take time to go through each one or, even like share a little bit about how we might have experienced that ourselves.
Yeah, that's
or
right.
How
That's
we
right.
See how we see it for others.
And some of this language is really adaptable as far as how you can best understand it. So I'll say like these aren't necessarily 4 steps. They're not even 4 points. To some degree, they're kind of 4 seasons that you experience in midlife or you go through
that's
to
helpful.
To like embrace it. And so the first one is and it maps kind of on the stages of grief a little bit too, so you'll hear some of that language. But the first one is a direct way is just
I'm balking at that, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
The first one is ignorance. I mean, it's just like unaware.
Yeah.
Being unaware
Yeah.
that you are now entering midlife. There's a general like I didn't know that was a thing, and I thought midlife was for old people. I thought it was for people in their 70s, or I thought it was for, and then I realized, oh, I actually fit. I fit this. So that's the first one. We'll come back to that. The second one is, I don't know, you can call it doubling down. It's working harder for diminishing results. It's using last season's tools to try and make life work.
Yeah.
And so you feel like you're spinning your wheels. You're just exhausted. The third one is coping. It's the season in which you realize something is different, something has changed. You may not know fully what that is, but you cope in different ways. It could be apathy or some sort of mental emotional escapism. Could be some sort of substance you abuse. Could be overeating, purchasing. Retail therapy. You were struggling to make a sense of life, and you're using some kind of escape to just make it through.
Yep.
And then the fourth is what would be accepting help to move on or to move through it. So it's where you realize, I can't do this on my own. I need to make sense of this. I need some help. I need a community of support. I need more than I'm able to give myself And I also want to make it through well.
Yeah.
I want to take the next step. I want to enter the next season of like just general acceptance, but with new support systems in place. So that's what I would say. That for what did Hollis call it? The lone wood,
The dark wood.
the dark wood. That's right. So it's this
Yeah.
idea, like, you know, the beginning of Dante's poem starts out that he found himself in midlife in a dark wood.
Yeah.
Right.
He references that.
Yeah. So it's that idea of like, how did I get here?
Yeah,
And I have some
lost.
choices. So
Disoriented.
Yeah, disoriented. There's a lot of feelings that come alongside of that. But what we've been calling it the wilderness, just the wilderness of midlife. So it just depends on what you want to call it, what you're most comfortable with. But like I said earlier, I just feel like it's not talked about very much.
Right.
It's not made sense of very much, and it's usually kind of like projected onto older people, so that it doesn't actually affect us. And so anyway, what are your initial thoughts? What does that stir up for you when you think about those kind of different seasons or steps toward accepting midlife?
Yeah, I wanna just real quick recap.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Because I'm a recap person. I appreciate
great.
that. So the ignorant stage, denial or doubling down, using those same old tools.
Yeah.
And then the third one is
Coping.
right? You know, all the escape tools,
Yeah.
the numbing tools.
Yeah.
Because
Denial.
out of like the
Yeah.
resignation of like, why doesn't this work? I don't know. And so just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And then somehow kind of reaching out to receive help.
That's right.
And I think that's an interesting framework, very specifically because I mentioned this to you earlier. It's like accepting help. It's like, really? I think that in an individualistic society, we view these journeys so very individually, and even from a faith background, you know, we were talking about like a Pilgrim's Progress, or there was another book that was written that, you know, some folks may remember. It was called Hind's Feet on High Places, and it was like this allegory of this woman and this journey over this, you know, terrain similar to this wilderness that we're talking about. And so people have used allegories to describe the journey of the soul for millennia, but so often it's like an individual process, and it feels like this is, you know, me. But when you think about the storyline, there are people along the way, right? There are those guides. And for some reason, I don't know, that stood out to me, because so often these frameworks are like, this is what you will go through. This is your journey.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, your journey can't actually progress unless it intersects with other people. And it's the mentor, the spiritual guide, the coach, the, you know, religious leader, the close friend who's been there before. I mean, it's like, you just can't do it by yourself. And I think, and that's definitely been true for me, but I don't know, that's the thing that stood out to me first, was just like the fact that you accept help, and that's the beginning of kind of like the breakthrough, or like being able to become free from the escape behaviors and the resignation, the sadness, the hopelessness, discouragement that comes. And I don't know. I mean, I think people experience this in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But when you told me, you know, you laid out the framework, you know, I was like, yep, check. But also, so when you said it's like terrain, it's like a wilderness, which is geographical, right? Like it's a topography of the soul.
Right.
But then you said, well, it's also like season. So you're not just going to be like, you know, step 1 on the scavenger hunt, you know, the trip you never wanted to take. You're going to be ignorant, and then you're going to be in denial, and then you're going to be coping. And it's like, you might be, I would think that you might be doubling down and coping at the same time. I mean, to be honest,
could be.
I think when I look back on my own story over the last, I don't know, 7 to 10 years, like, I feel like I was doing that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you know, whether it was weight or managing emotions or relationships, or I feel like I was doing them at the same time.
I think there's some fuzzy boundaries around those. It's and there might be some progression and regression at the same time. Depends on the day sometimes. You know, depends on the weather some days.
Dude.
And so, you know, you might be in coping, and then you're like doubling down. No, I can get through this. Like
Right.
I can, what am I doing? Get rid of this attitude. And I think there's a lot of, talked about this earlier with you. I think that's why there's an allure of online influencers that kind of promise this, like, for men anyway, this lifestyle of activity. There right now, what's really popular is watching these like Instagram influencers that start their day at 4:30, and all these different minutes are accounted for what they're doing during their day. It's like they're up at 4:30. They're reading and journaling at 4:45. They're eating breakfast at 5 o'clock. They're at the gym at 5:30. They're in a shower, then work, and it's really like the message that you kind of get is like, if you work hard enough, you can do this, and you can have this life, you can have this body, you can have this house, you can have this car, you can have this job.
Yep.
And that really speaks to that individualistic, like if you do all this, if you check these boxes, this will be your outcome. And really this, like, the journey of midlife is there's a big shift where you don't have the resources. You haven't learned what you've needed to learn.
Yeah.
And it's good to have outside inputs to help teach you things that you don't know, but just working harder, getting up earlier, those could be good things, but that's not going to solve the problem, the seasonal shift that's taking place inside of our soul, because it's unto a perspective shift about what matters most in life.
Yes.
Right? It's about meaning and purpose and what gives me a sense of success and the importance of community and things like that. And so, again, there is this allure that social media can give us, or other, you can even read biographies and get the sense of like, man, these people were really successful, and I just apply these principles, I'll get the same outcome. And it's like, it doesn't really work like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, like, what's interesting about someone who's, saying, hey, this is my schedule, is like, hey, that might actually be helpful, truly helpful for someone who is in the first half of life and who's like trying to establish discipline and some momentum. There's an opportunity to follow someone's formula. And I don't want to dismiss it wholesale, because I do feel like that was valuable, but it's when you go, okay, I am going to, like, it's not working, I'm going to double down.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to, get up at 4 instead of 4:30. I'm going to work out for 2 hours instead of 1 hour. I'm going to, I'm going to deprive myself further. I'm going to work harder. And it's like a mixture of doubling down. And I think also ignorance. Like, to me, it's like, if you don't have a model for what's happening, or midlife happens to everyone else. So maybe you say, well, I've heard of a midlife crisis. I've heard of midlife, whatever. But I know for me, I went through a long time in my life where I just thought the rules don't apply to me. I mean, I wrote a blog post called "The Rules Do Not Apply." Like, I was obsessed with, like, making my own way. People would say, oh, this is how it goes when you are having a baby, or your marriage, or this thing, and I would be like, nope. And, my unwillingness to accept the status quo, and I've said this before, has helped me. Yeah. It has helped me in a way, because it was like I resisted the narrative. But when I did that, I also missed out. I think I stayed potentially in ignorance longer, because I was like, oh, well, that if I just, again, work hard, if I have my faith and my principles and my virtues, and I, work on myself, and I'm emotionally intelligent, and my nutrition is good, then I'm just going to skip that.
Yeah.
I'm going to delay that. I'm going to dilute that. It's not going to be as bad. It's not going to throw me off.
Yeah.
And I could not have been more wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got totally, like, just came out of the side. I think that's what's that's why I call it the trip you didn't want to take, because it's like, you're going on it. Okay. You're going on this trip.
Yeah.
There's not like a way that you can get around it. And even if you are doing so many of the right things, and you're cultivating so many of these categories of your life, you're still going to be on this trip. You're still going to find yourself confused and disillusioned and entering the dark wood, the wilderness, you know?
Yeah. So now that we've got kind of an understanding of these 4 seasons, I'm curious for you, what helped kind of propel you to the next stage of that, the next season? What got you through? Like, what was it?
From each one?
What was it? I mean, maybe there's one in particular, or maybe there's a kind of general sense of like, yeah, I had to do this, or I needed that.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that, I think I've referenced this before, talking with a friend on a coffee shop patio and going, her going, oh yeah, I'm turning 40, and just thinking a lot about what this is midlife. And I was like, wait, what? This is midlife? Like, what are you talking about? I thought midlife was 50 or something.
Right.
Like, it was just in the future.
Right.
And she turned 40, I don't know, 6 or 7 months before me. And so I'd already been in that breakdown. I'd been in that for the previous 3 years, like stuff that I thought was a sure thing, was not happening. Relationships that I'd, had for a little while, but just kind of thought would be longer term were not. And there was just a lot of like, disillusionment and things like that. So I'd already been in it. So it was like, how I learned about it was, I was going to be intentional about turning 40, right? Like, you remember, I was like, oh, here's all these things I want to make sure I'm doing. I created this ritual, which I've shared online before. So people, know about that. And I think I was being intentional, but I still didn't understand. Yeah. I was still ignorant.
Right.
So I was dealing with the doubling down. I was like, okay, I'm have weight struggles. I'm going to do more intermittent fasting. I'm going to work on that. So I spent a lot of time in doubling down because I just thought that I was having a personal, issue. And I think we talked about the critical journey.
Yep.
So I thought of myself spiritually
right.
as being at the wall, but it wasn't. And I thought of that for 3 years. So I was in this stage in this personal crisis that I thought was mine. But I was like, okay, I have this spiritual struggle. And so I'd kind of categorized it in that space.
Right.
Like, I'm having some success in some areas. And so this feels like a spiritual struggle. So it was kind of like I was trying to categorize it. I didn't think of it holistically as midlife. So I really feel like in so many ways I was dealing with ignorance and doubling down and coping, like I said, all at the same time in some ways, which is like, I don't even know how to think of that. But I really was interchangeably wrestling with them. And yes, I asked for help very early. Thank God.
Right.
But even then, it was still like that. My therapist didn't walk me through these frameworks.
Right.
I don't think she thought to.
Right.
So yeah, I think for me, it was like really experiencing them in layers, kind of going back and forth between them. It's what I'm doing isn't working. I'm so confused, being really mad, trying something new, checking out, coping, escaping, coming back to it. All right, I'm back on it,
Yeah.
Rallying a billion times.
Right.
And then just being like, Maxine from the Hallmark card, like go out in the back, not actually smoking, but you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Just like, oh my gosh, I got to just get through this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's kind of how it felt like for me. So it was kind of like getting from one stage to the next. And me, like, even asked for help so early. And yet here I was struggling.
Yeah.
And so it was, I needed that help and the insight repeatedly, but
yeah,
it would have been way worse without it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I was just really doing a lot of those things at the same time. So that's how I experienced it. But I would say like what brought me between each thing was between each phase back and forth would just be like, this isn't working.
Right.
This is not working.
Right.
The coping isn't working. It's actually, creating a drain on me in some way.
Yeah.
Or this isn't how I want to be.
Right.
But then I'm trying all this stuff and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Whatever effort I make or checking out I'm doing doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's what brought me. And then ultimately and I'm not on the other side perfectly.
Yeah.
But yeah, asking for help.
Absolutely. That's good.
It's like, eventually you just go, this doesn't work.
Yeah. I think for me, it was just pain and every different season.
Oh my God.
It's like, I want things to make sense.
Yeah.
I want it to work and I want to be happy.
Yeah.
right? And when you realize, in the first season, like, oh, I feel so stupid. I should have known better. Right? It's the pain of ignorance.
Yes.
Is stupidity.
Yes.
The second one, where you're doubling down, it's the pain of exhaustion. Like,
Ooh.
I'm just so tired of the same old thing.
Yes.
I'm tired of this not making sense.
Yeah, that's good.
And then the pain of coping. A lot of times coping is its own teacher. You overindulge too much and go, I feel terrible.
Right.
I don't like how I look. I don't like how I sound. I don't like that. I feel terrible. Or, you numb out, right? You check out. You go, I don't like who I am. I'm not present for my family. I'm not. I don't feel like myself.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll never have to get. Maybe I'll never be able to get my old self back.
Yeah.
But there's got to be something different than this guy.
Yeah.
Right. So it's that pain. A lot of times just was the teacher to usher me into the next season till, it's like, I gotta ask for help and figure this out. And I need people around me that get this, and I need to, make sense of it for myself. And, and that every step of the way, there's just, ouch.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. No, I was thinking about saying pain as like the thing that moved me from one thing to the next.
Yeah.
But it was like, because it definitely.
Was that too obvious?
No. It just like as I was talking, it came out as it didn't work.
Yeah.
Like it was like that was for me the thing. Like it didn't work. All the things I was trying. But yeah, it is. It's pain. And doesn't this sound so dismal? Like, let's just take a moment and go, what? Like, because it's not always that everything is on fire, right?
No,
like there are things, like I think at any of these moments that you and I have been through over the last handful of years as we've kind of progressed through midlife, it's like we've had a lot of things that we'd be like, oh, I'm so glad this is
absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
We have a lot of things that we're grateful for that are going well. And you do have to work to make sure that you're remembering that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a very specific kind of struggle, and it's meant to shape you.
Yeah.
It's meant to reshape you.
Right. Absolutely.
It's meant to cause you. I mean, like, you're supposed to confront yourself, right? That this doesn't work, the pain, it's confrontation of yourself. It's confrontation of your ego.
Well, and I think to some degree you find the depths within you. There's both more to deal with than you ever realized, but you have greater ability than you were ever aware of. So like the sense of coping, like you could ride that spiral to the basement, right?
Yes.
Just be completely broken by it. Or you can realize, like, I have poor coping skills.
Yes.
Like when my life is disrupted, when I throw myself a pity party,
Yep.
when stuff happens to me and I feel victimized by it, I realize I do these things in response, and I'd like to take more agency over myself.
Yeah.
Because I can't control what happens to me, but I can control how I respond to it.
Yeah.
And these things that disrupt us, we can either allow it to continue to happen, or we can learn from it and realize, like, this is to cause me to be more resilient and a kinder person in the end of it. So I'm not so grouchy. So I'm not so, triggered by everything. So I'm not so on edge towards my family.
Yeah.
And so I think it is painful realizing you're more messed up than you really realize. And like, there's only so much you can blame on other people, your family of origin, or the world around you before you just go, so am I going to do something about this or not?
Right.
And so again, the end product, like, what's on the other side of all this, right? What is, if the objective is to navigate the wilderness successfully, into the lone dark wood successfully, on the other end of this is what hope? Yeah. What hope is there to make it through all the pain? And it is the type of person that you become. It's actually finding joy in your relationships, joy if things are removed from your life,
Yeah.
being reminded that I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Right? Being kinder, finding a deeper, like the depth that you're really capable of, because we live in such a shallow, image-driven society. And who are you without all that? Who are you if you don't need all that, right? And so I feel like these seasons maybe force us in a way to confront the questions we were too afraid to ask ourselves.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's good. Yeah. And I think like tied in with that is like confronting your true self. Like,
yes,
like your own, like the greatness of what you are inside of you, but also your extraordinary inadequacies, like being willing to accept.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah,
these are my limits.
I'm not good at that. Or like I have failed at this.
I don't even like that. Like my family wanted me to like that,
Yes. I think that's what, he says is like at some point in this journey, you find that you've been living someone else's life. That's one of the first things he says in the first chapter of this book, Making Meaning in the Second Half of Life. And I was like, I think I'm going to be sitting with that for a while because I'm like, okay, in what way did I do that? And if I look back, it's like my parents were always very encouraging about so many of the things that I have done. They did also say, oh, you'd be really good at this or whatever, and encourage me in certain directions. But we're supportive of the choices that I've made, sometimes with eyebrows raised, but still. So I feel like I've made a lot of those choices, but then I also look at like the holistic picture and moments along the way, and I'm like, oh, that was someone else saying you should do that.
Right.
Like, why don't you do this? And then me going, oh yeah, okay, I'll do that. That seems like a good idea, or that's a way to help. And I think that those are, some of that is how we progress. Like,
that's right. Yeah.
It's responding to what life asks of us. And so you're never going to get past that. You're never going to be like, my life is my own. I make all my own decisions. It's like you live in a community, you live in a family. Hopefully you have people that rely on you. So I don't think there's ever a place where we fully have our own life per se, but yeah, kind of teasing apart what parts of me have I been, living on behalf of someone else. Right. And maybe the reason things aren't working is because this truer self is emerging.
That's right.
And it's just simply unwilling to play by those rules.
That's right. It's like everybody has this inner 8 that's like, all right, I'm done with this.
That's it.
Just time out with all this nonsense.
Yep.
Quit bossing me around.
I know I've got an inner Enneagram 8.
We know.
Takes up most of the
room.
And
an outer. Yeah.
And an outer.
Yeah.
An innie and an outie.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Ooh,
I don't watch that, but you
Severance,
do. And,
yeah. Oh, it's good.
Anyway, a lot of people are using that as a reference. But I think that's probably part of it. And we've talked about this before, but it's worth repeating for women when we get into this stage of life where, and to me, this was so profound. I think it was Dr. Mindy Pelz, I believe, was talking about how the caregiving hormones for women, when they fluctuate and then eventually go down significantly at menopause, the way that it affects your role and
give a craps
the give a craps like oh
that makes so much sense.
It does. Like, oh, I have to do this for this person, that the external motivation, like this person needs this from me, I have to put out these fires. I'm looking at all these things, and I see women, I work with these women, whether it's in therapy or coaching, and they're like, I finally have Dr. Mindy Pelz says, like, I can hear my own voice. I can hear myself, because maybe I've raised my kids or, whatever, but also just this impulse to do everything for everyone else is like so much quieter.
Yeah.
And I can actually attend to the thing that I want to do.
It's good.
And that person is just not going to play by the rules. That person is like, I'm done doubling down. I'm done using all the old tools.
Yeah.
I don't need to do that anymore.
Good.
So I think that's like hopeful.
Yes.
And encouraging.
Yeah.
I know for me though, when I'm in hard seasons, I'm like, the great reward is who I become. Like when stuff really sucks, that does not feel good enough.
And I don't know that that's the only thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I know we major on that here, but like self-actualization or self-improvement or any of those things, like, yeah, I think there's a point in those things of diminishing returns and diminishing satisfaction.
Yes.
Of like, I'm just gonna be working on myself until it's like, yeah. And like, what would it look like to not like freak out at Christmas dinner because of all the pressure that you're under? Mm-hmm. What would it look like to actually like remember your kid's graduation because you're not inebriated because of all the coping that you're going on? What would it look like to actually like take the risk of a career change? The riskiest thing you could maybe think of is going, I'm putting all my chips on the table because you realize like this has never been satisfying to me. And like, I think that's what it is. It's not about all the self stuff. It's all about the better versions of you that affect so many people around you.
Yeah.
Like I'm finishing up this sermon series on King David, and his second half of life, lots of mistakes.
Yeah.
And he limped across the finish line.
Yeah.
And the reality is like the more mistakes that he made, the more people that were impacted by it negatively.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're saying is like, it's not just project self. It's actually like, what if you could spare those you love the most pain?
Yeah.
Because you actually have dealt with your stuff. You have confronted the worst parts about you. You have thrown off that false self. And you actually can risk like, I think this is my contribution to the world.
Yeah.
This is my great part for, Dead Poet Society, right? And so I think that's what it is. And maybe you and I can even get better at articulating that. It's just not all about like, oh, you're just more chill and zen and isn't that great? It's like, like, no, it's because you're an important, powerful person that other people are looking to and you affect them.
Yes.
And if you really love them, don't you want their lives to be better because of how you treat them?
Yes.
What would you add to that? I mean, I'm curious because there's got to be lots more.
That is so good. I think like, when we ask ourselves that question, like that switchfoot question from the early aughts, like, this is your life, are you who you want to be?
That's right.
That's still
really good.
It hit when I was like 20 and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
And it feels like, oh, I was so young. And it's like, it's only been 20 years. I'm 40 and I already feel like, you kind of go, oh, I guess this is who I am. And it's like, oh, no. Like, stop. No. Like we're constantly being.
It's yes
remade.
And.
It's yes and.
Yes
yeah.
and,
Yeah. Because I think that like there are certain things about you, about us individually that do get crystallized, right?
Yeah.
That do get. But there is an opportunity to continue to evolve and to ask yourself, like, am I who I want to be?
That's right.
And not so much with the authenticity test. That's fine, right? Like, am I being true to myself? I think if we only have, am I true to myself as a standard, that is akin to asking, am I happy?
Right.
And it's like, boop, 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 like, do I love everything about my life? Now, I think I've told the story about this last year when I had my birthday and there was a lot of hard things going on. And they've been, but a lot of things, a lot of grief, a lot of disappointment happening. And I, at my parents' house and I said, to myself, like, are you happy? And the answer came back, yes. And it wasn't like, is everything perfect? Or, are you feeling happy right now? It was a sense of like grounded contentment that I want to make that distinction. And so I got to that point in the middle of these hard things. And I think that was like it's like you find out that is what you are looking for. So that's a piece of it. But I think you don't want to necessarily be like, am I content? Am I happy? Or did I find my authentic self? It's like, I mean, a eulogy type question. Like, how do I want to be remembered?
That's right. Yeah.
This is your life. Are you who you want to be? It's like, that is about the impact that you have. Yeah. Like if you ask that switchfoot question to yourself, or like, Mary Oliver, what are you going to do with this one wild and precious life?
That's it.
It's like, you're not thinking of, with that question, you don't say, well, accumulate more.
Yeah.
Will achieve more.
Right.
Will, double the size of my house. Like those questions are soul questions. They're like, what is the impact? How do you want to be remembered?
That's right.
And so I think that when you ask that question, it's still somewhat external, right? Like when you're younger, like what do other people want from me?
Mm-hmm.
What are the goals that my parents have for me? How do I please people and make them happy so that they like me? Weirdly, you're asking something of an external question in this situation too. But it's like, what do I want to create? What's the legacy that I want to leave? It becomes an internal thing.
Mm-hmm.
How do I want to be? What can I give? It's a more sacrificial, more others oriented question in a truly altruistic way.
Right.
That isn't like just survival or ego seeking. Yeah. And I think that's just really amazing that you have access to that wisdom and that clarity with questions like that. What will you do with this one wild and precious life? Like, it's not first half of life stuff.
Right.
That's not the answer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's very much like, yes, becoming someone, and it's like, and the person you become cares deeply about the world.
That's right.
And likes the sound of birds and wants to take a walk, or has like a just, hobby that's very earthy.
Yeah. Just much more spacious and accommodating soul.
Yes.
That makes such a difference in other people's lives.
Yes. And it's just like, I think I'm constantly amazed at what the soul actually needs. Like the fact that I was like, I'm happy, I'm content. I'm like, how surprised I was to hear myself say that. Like, I don't know. Is that a funny thing to say you're surprised by yourself? But I was like, what? It was like, this is all I need to be happy?
Right.
Because here I am working for these things that so I don't know. I haven't crossed over yet fully, but that was really, really good milestone to reach that place. Yeah. And I would still say that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I feel so grateful. So I think let me close this out with this question here. What does this look like then? Because your process of asking for help or receiving help, like even, I don't even know if you did it a few different ways from different people. I did as well at different points. Is there a point in this journey where, let's say that you're in the doubling down and you're listening to this and you're like, man, I'm doubling down.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm coping. Maybe I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
Do we have to check all the boxes? Like, does somebody have to stay in the wilderness for some, I don't know, prescribed period of time? Like, is there some way what does asking for help or receiving help really do for someone's journey?
Yeah, I think so. There's two questions. Okay. Do you have to? And, what was I was reframing it. Anyway, let me answer it like this. Okay. I think I haven't met a person that hasn't gone through them to some degree. Yeah. Right? So I don't know that anybody is really off the hook as far as navigating that. Because I think there is something that you discover about yourself, and there's a probing aspect to each one. And yet I think you can get stuck there. Yeah. I think that's the real danger, is that's
right there.
Right there. You hang out and you go around the mountain, and around the mountain, around the mountain, and get lost in the wilderness. Because you get stuck, or you regress, or you never just ask for the right help. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I would say. What about you?
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking of how lost I felt and how confused. Yeah, it's like, absolutely. I was describing it in a recent email newsletter to my, community, and saying it's a blindfolded roller coaster, because it's like the movements of life, right? Like, we're going down and it's actually kind of nice, and we're just sailing along, then boom, the bottom drops out, and then upside down, and it's in the dark. Yeah. And if somebody was like, this is like the power of normalizing. When someone's normalized something to me, when I normalize it to someone else, like the relief that washes over you, right? Like, oh yeah, you know, you're not broken. This isn't like something that you're doing wrong. These are the things that happen. Here's a flashlight. Here is what's coming up next. Here is this, you know, pit to look out for.
That's right.
I think that is, you know, it's not that the guide is going to maybe put you at 1.5 or 2x speed through the wilderness. Although in some ways I think that can happen. Like I'm thinking about different people that you've had in your life over the last 6 years at different points. And I'm like, oh, wow, we would have really been.
How would this be possible without them?
Yeah.
You know, people for longer stints.
Yes.
Some people just drop down for a few months.
Yes.
And it's like, you just go, wow, that got me to a whole different place.
It's like therapy, coaching, spiritual direction. Like you and I have, you know, had these roles in our people in our lives.
It's incredible. And what it does is it gives you sanity.
Yep.
And it really does save you time.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing.
It kept us from getting stuck.
Yeah. That's the one thing you cannot create more of.
Yeah.
You can make more money.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
Yeah.
You can read more books, watch more TV. You can't and that's just the price of that is just the benefit of that is like it's hard to put a price tag on because these people, these men in particular, were the ones that were just like, hey, come here, let me help you out. You can do this. You got this. Let me speak into this.
Wow.
And it was just so valuable.
I think what was weird was at the time, for how painful it was, having the guide didn't alleviate a lot of the pain. Like there was still a lot of confusion, a lot of grief.
Well, not every guide is a healer in that sense.
Right.
Not every guide is like going to come along with a Band-Aid and go, you know, let me take care of that. They're not going to do the work for you.
No, they don't. And I don't think that they're supposed to.
Right,
But
exactly.
I think that we expect that, right? Like,
right. That's what we want. We want the pain to go away.
Right, right. And it's like, you know, I think that's an important thing because when I look back at this swatch of time, I think, oh, I'm so glad we had those people. But in the moment, it was like they were helping us make sense of it. They were helping us see the path. They were naming things we didn't know were dynamics, but they didn't alleviate the pain. They sort of like allowed us to go through. Yeah. And it's like, at the time, it was kind of like, can you do more?
Yeah, right.
You know, like, is there more you can do? Do you have a magic potion?
You can,
Like, I'll take 11 bottles. Yes. You know, is there do I need to go on a retreat? Do I need to go sit in a sauna? Do I need to stand on my head? You know, what should I do? And it really, like, you just think that you want to get out of it. And I think that was an interesting piece because you go, hey, you got to receive help. And we were receiving help, but it's like, and it was, I think now looking back, and I just didn't know this at the time, but it was like, I was getting help with the navigation, with the terrain.
Yeah.
And I know that I would have misunderstood what was happening. And very likely you as well, we would be really disoriented, disillusioned. I don't know where our faith, our mental health would be. I mean, it could have been a big freaking tragedy if you just thought, like, I don't know what to do with this. And there was just like no framework and no answer.
I mean, can you imagine? So spring of 23, I got into therapy.
Yes.
I was like, man, I just don't even know what's going on.
You're right.
And I started meeting with her.
Yes.
And she's like, oh,
yep,
that sounds like a narcissist. And I'm like, no, I know. That we just call everything. But like, had she not named that, didn't make it go away.
Nope.
Didn't in the moment make it any better.
Nope.
Some degree got worse.
Yep.
Right. But had she not named it and made sense of it, and said, hey, I can give you a few tools. I can make a couple recommendations. Yep. I would have felt so alone and crazy and
you did.
Desperate.
We did.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. So it's just like that. People, it's the right voice at the right time.
Yep.
to help get you to that next place that you need to be. It's just so worth it.
Yeah. It really is. It's like the naming it helps you place yourself in the bigger story, in the framework. Like instead of just being like, this is me, I'm broken, something's wrong with me. I was doing really well and now I'm breaking down. And it, it's like, understanding, this is this part of the journey. Yeah. These are the kinds of, shall we say, adversaries that pop up in certain parts of the journey. And you think like something's wrong with you. Yeah. And to a degree, there always is something for us. There's always room to grow. It's like, something is always a little bit wrong with us or a lot. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's not what you think, right? It's like there was a lot of reframing that went on because it was like, I think we were working on the wrong things.
That's right.
And so when that happened, it was like, okay, we can work on the right things.
That's right.
That was helping. So having some spiritual direction, having therapy, looking back on, when I had a coach, I know you've had a coach for different things. I mean, gosh, we've just been so fortunate to have a lot of input.
Yep.
And if anybody ever thinks that we're lost, well, just imagine how bad it would be. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I know I'm feeling gratitude right now for the people that have been part of the journey and helped make sense of it. And again, weren't able to alleviate, all the suffering, but helped it by being present.
That's right.
And by normalizing and by providing guidance and steps and it's like and the way out.
Yeah.
The way through. And we would still be in the thicket.
That's right.
Without them. So thank you to our guides.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
For that. And that's it's such, and honestly it's such a gift to be able to transfer that back, so we want to really make this a clear offer for those of you who are finding yourself at a place in this wilderness, in this topography of the soul. Maybe you have been circling between doubling down and coping. Maybe you are like, what is this? Is this a spiritual crisis? Is it a physical crisis? Is this like a mental health addiction crisis? Right. Is this a nutrition? Like I was categorizing them sometimes in like different categories, but it was all happening at the same time. And it's like, what is this that's happening to me? And again, we brought on our guides, or we had people speaking in, and kind of like our first goal was, help me get rid of this pain, help me eliminate my suffering. And there was definitely some of that, but it was like the guide was the person who was present with me, who eliminated the feeling of loneliness, the feeling of being crazy, the feeling of being broken.
That's right.
It's like, you're not crazy. You're not even lost if you have a guide.
That's right.
But if you don't, if you're just like trying to struggle through, then you do remain disoriented in that place. And I think some of the coping tools that we use are disorienting. They're distracting. They don't create forward progress.
That's right.
They can be destructive, and you're just in the fog.
Yeah.
So even if you you're just kind of like camped out on the side.
That's right. Of the road. I think it's really important to remove both the stigma of being in midlife and the shame of how we deal with it. And I think something like this framework helps us understand, like, this is pretty common
this is what
to our experience, and it's different for everyone based on our personal wiring and family of origin, but there's absolutely no shame in what we've reached for to deal with it. And I love what you said. You're not lost if you have a guide. Wow, that's so great. And that's so true. It's like if I go hike the Grand Canyon, I'm gonna get lost. But I don't need to know the route if I hired a guide.
Yes.
The guide's job is to get me there.
Like, it's like still a hard journey for you.
No, totally. The guy's not going to carry me.
Run out of, right.
But I'm not lost if they're doing their job.
Yeah.
And I think there's just such comfort in that.
Yeah. And I think like that's the thing. This is the journey that we've been on. This is the journey we are on. And, reaching a place where we can say, hey, from this place of our soul of, reaching contentment, reaching a place of peace, reaching a place of, hopefulness after years of struggle, of feeling lost, of setbacks that were partly, our own doing, sometimes just circumstantial, being able to get to that place and then say, hey, I just want to call back to you and let you know it's going to be okay.
That's right.
And there's so much more here. So even like the breakthrough of asking for help when maybe you've gone through a lot of this. I have clients who have started working with me and they're doing good.
Yeah.
They're actually doing really good.
Right.
And they've gotten through some of the coping. They've gotten through some of the hard part. And they're like, I'm ready for this next thing. But what's amazing is they go, I can tell the next thing I do, even though I'm good, it is going to need somebody to speak into this.
That's right.
I need a mirror. I need a guide. I need somebody to see something I'm not going to see.
Right.
And so I think that's what's really amazing. Is so like there's two places that you might find yourself as you're listening to this. Yes, you might find yourself lost. You might be going, I'm doubling down, because if you're ignorant, you're not going to recognize this. But you're doubling down. You're trying hard. You're doing the things that worked before, and they're not working. You may or may not be at the coping stage. Everything from like behaviors and substances to try to kind of check out or escape from that. And that's where a lot of people find themselves.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people kind of on board with us in the coaching space is they're like, help.
Yeah.
But then, people who are like, oh, I've kind of made it through some of those hard things. Maybe they had a guide, in some capacity, but they're ready for this next season.
That's right.
They're ready for that legacy piece. They're ready to listen to their own inner voice and do the thing for the world that they were made to do. That reflects their wisdom, that reflects their greatest gifting.
Yeah.
And it's just really fun. It's really fun, it's not fun to be in the middle of this stuff, but it's really like such an honor to be at these different points on the journey. So you might be like ready for your next big challenge.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, I need a guide. I need somebody to just hold me accountable to my greatness. Accountable for, what is it? Accountability is it being accountable for your ability?
Yeah, that's right.
We heard a pastor say that. And there is also like, and that's true for anybody, but there's also just like the guide through the wilderness, just being able to go, what is this fresh hell that I'm experiencing? And am I crazy? Am I broken? Am I lost? And, just the reassurance of sitting across from somebody who has made the path or is making the path that maybe is a little further along and can help you. It is just such a gift. Yeah. It's a gift. And we've been able to receive that. We've been able to give that. And so we want to make that offer to you. So we really want you to find your way over to the inthemiddlecoaching.co page and check out the options for working with us, because we want to offer you the way through, right? The way into the next stage, the way to authentically and powerfully give back in this legacy stage, or this way to make sense of that lost feeling that, coming through, the coping and the doubling down.
Yeah.
We want to be able to be present with you in that, if that's something that you need and want right now. So we've been the beneficiaries. We are out there providing this for a few key clients. Yeah. And so we would be interested in talking with you. You can book a call on our page, and we'll just chat with you, and we'll see if that's a good option. So you can work with me, you can work with Josh, or you can work with both of us if your relationship is in the wilderness and you want some support. We have had that as well. We've had individual and relational wildernesses.
Yep.
Is that the plural?
That's it. So it's in the middle coaching.co. We'll put that link in the show description as well. Just hit us up. Yeah, we'd love to just even chat and see what the options are with you, and any way that we can help you be a guide.
Yes, absolutely. It'd be an honor.
So, with that, I'm curious, what are you reading, watching, listening to? What's saving your butt right now?
Yeah. I feel like I'm always powering through my New Yorker. And so I'm trying to remember. I was reading an article about masculinity in America, and the different people that are appealing to men, especially young men.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
kind of like,
I need to grab a hold of that.
yeah, it's really good. It's called You Mad Bro?
Oh,
and,
yeah. Okay.
It's Hassan Piker. He's kind of like a progressive streamer.
Okay.
And so kind of how he's kind of breaking the mold a little bit, but also some of the other maybe more conservative voices and like what's resonating with people. So it was just really interesting because I think that, there's been a lot of conversations about men being left behind.
Yeah.
And that's something that you have really been zeroing in on, is like the experience of men in midlife.
That's right.
And what are they gravitating towards as they are looking for meaning and finding their way, finding their purpose and their role in society. So, especially also is raising young men and helping them to have a balanced view of masculinity, I think is something that I'm interested in. So that's been really fascinating. What about you?
Cool.
What are you reading?
You actually referred to it earlier, Severance, season 2.
Oh, yes.
So,
season 2,
really good.
The long-awaited.
Yeah, that's right. So really good. Really like deep thoughts on escapism and work-life interactions and corporate zombification and a lot of interesting things going on.
If you can handle the dystopian world, which I unfortunately can't. Like, I don't know what it is, but I just can't do it.
Yeah. What's saving your butt right now?
I'm gonna just say my morning coffee.
Yeah.
Just keep it super simple today.
Always there for you.
Yep. Gotta keep it super simple. So.
Yeah. And for me, again, I mentioned it earlier, but my bullet journal, that is legit saving my butt.
Yeah.
It is awesome. So I definitely recommend that.
You have been raving about it, so I do recommend the bullet journal for a lot of you.
Absolutely.
I haven't gotten started yet, so I can't say
that's okay. That's not
you
for everybody.
You are loving it, and I've been so impressed with how much it's been helping you. So I love it. All right. Well, we'll see you next time, but please be sure to check out our website, inthemiddlecoaching.co, and look into some options for working with us. If you're finding yourself at those various places in the wilderness, we would love to be a guide for you. So until next time, we'll see you soon.
See ya. This is the In the Middle podcast with Josh and Sarah Siders. Visit inthemiddlecoaching.co for other resources, courses, and helpful tools.